and Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room as well. We are live on Facebook, the Big Show Facebook page, as well as the 1FM 91.3 Facebook page. It's Therapy Tuesday.
What is that?
That is beautiful.
The Big Show.
Yes, so you have your number one fan, David, that made this for all of you.
Thank you, David
And
Yo.
he came down specially yesterday to drop it off at the security. So thank you very much.
That's awesome. You know, he should have come down to SPH Security and given it to SPH Security to hang it on their guard
Outside,
post.
right? Yes. 'Cause
Exactly.
we're the only show you should be listening to anyway.
You know now that you've given David that idea, he will be here later today.
Yeah, right?
He's probably there now. He's just waiting there.
David, this can be your bling bling as well. Put it around your neck.
Oh, don't give him ideas, please.
Right.
Fairy lights.
Very, very nice. Thank you very much, David Yo and his staff
Yes,
at the
staff, yeah.
the unofficial Big Show company.
Private Limited.
All right, so Jerry from the Therapy Room, Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room. How have you been? How's
Good morning. Everything's good. Preparing for Chinese New Year is almost there. And I got my vaccine.
Oh,
what?
yay!
I'm so envious.
So
Yes.
how did it go? You got the shot. What did you feel? What was it like?
I'm okay. And my second shot is due at the end of the month.
So when did you get the shot?
Last week.
Okay.
End of last week.
Okay.
Any numbness or slight pain? Because
Yeah, so the instant the shot went down, my headache came. It was like,
But it's like a regular vaccination, right? It's like a regular shot. Okay,
Yep, nothing spectacular. And then the next day, a little bit achy, and then it was fine.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Is it because you are a frontline worker?
And like health, so
Okay.
we get to go down a little bit earlier than other people. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, now that one of the health workers the other day, right? I mean, that person had like 5 COVID shots
Cool. Yes, I know.
5
right?
doses in one shot.
and survived. So that's how safe this vaccine is, right? 5 shots, and you'll still be all right.
He's 5 times protected now.
You don't
Yes. So yeah, wanted to dispel the fear there. So all okay.
Right.
Okay,
No
fantastic.
fear on this show, and that's for sure. We're all waiting for it.
Yeah, we're all waiting to get the
Give
shots.
it.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
this morning we're talking about what? Self-harm?
Self-harm. So I thought it would be something that all we can discuss. Is quite exciting because everybody looks at it as a taboo topic that we cannot touch. So really glad that we can bring it on here. And is it common?
I
and
personally think it's more common than people think.
Yep.
Well,
I agree.
why don't we think about how all of you hurt yourselves?
So you're not talking
one of you.
necessarily about physical harm. You're also talking about like emotional and psychological.
A lot of it is physical.
Physical? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
physical. Yeah, but if you think about how you harm yourself, what can you think of?
Working out.
Not working out.
Not working out. Yeah.
Okay.
But I did know girls in school, like in primary and secondary school, that did self-harm with pen knives and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
many.
Yeah, with,
Yeah,
with
I've seen a
That's
lot
the
of that.
very classic one that everybody thinks about when we talk about self-harm. But you and I also do it. We hurt ourselves. Like if we face palm, like, oh my gosh, bam, and we hit ourselves.
or slap
Have
ourselves
you
something like that.
Yeah, like slap yourself,
I don't like that
or clench your fist until it is so painful.
That's
when you're
self-harm?
Well, it is not quite self-harm, but you do hurt yourself. You
Okay.
permit yourself to feel some sort of pain. So it's good to have that as a base first.
That's why I purchased this ball, you see, from the therapyroom.com.sg for $9.95.
Stress
You get a
ball.
nice stress ball. But this one I got it for free.
When I was young and I got frustrated, what I would do is I would take a rubber band and wrap it round my finger
Until it got white?
until it turned purple
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
blood couldn't flow.
Lucky your finger didn't drop off.
That's
boy.
why.
But you were doing that as an experiment or when you
no,
were angry?
when I was frustrated and
Wow,
angry, I would
okay.
do that.
So that's on purpose. I used to do that just for the fun of it to see
Yeah.
how purple it could get.
No, but I used to do it when I got
It's
frustrated.
not satisfying at all.
okay.
That's why.
There's a degree of pain that comes with it, I guess.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Yep.
I don't like inflicting pain on myself.
You love yourself too much. This is why.
I love inflicting pain on others.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
there is a
dear.
difference.
Okay, all right. Up
Yep,
next,
yep.
Sugar Ray. Here's Someday on 1FM 91.3. You're tuned into The Big Show. We are live on Facebook.
It's interesting because comments are coming through already. Mark De Silva says self-harm is more common than is reported. For children and parents, they hide it and pretend nothing is wrong because their face is more important than admitting their child has a problem. True.
Yeah, but just like you, FD, you said that, when you were frustrated, you used a rubber band. You didn't know that you were hurting yourself. It was, a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So, sometimes self-harm behaviors can be a coping mechanism. It can be self-soothing also, so you're trying to calm yourself down, right? And, you needed that frustration, that emotion to go someplace. A form of penance, perhaps a self-punishment. Sometimes we self-harm because we cannot express ourselves in words. So verbally, it's very difficult. So even if you ask someone like, why are you doing it? Or, what do you actually feel? They can't tell you. So that inability to express themselves, or sometimes to fit in. So if everybody is doing that, then maybe you say, okay, I'll try, so that could be a fitting in behavior. And of course, accompanied by a lot of negative emotions.
So from your background, how common is it and you're talking about kids or adults or both?
So now we have to look at the whole developmental spectrum because it's actually very, very common. So earlier you were talking about like the pen knives and the teens cutting, right? But it's not just the teens. I'll go to the teens in a little bit. But do we know that the little ones, the toddlers, actually self-harm?
Oh, no. How?
No.
Yeah. So there are those that kind of hit themselves on the head or bang their heads onto the wall or onto the floor. So we see that in children with developmental disorders, where they are unable to tell us their issues or they cannot tell us their discomforts or the frustration, and they do that. So self-soothing, expressing their emotions, they bite themselves. So sometimes you see calluses there.
So how do parents that are facing...
His face, oh no.
Because growing up, like kids throw themselves on the floor, bang their head against the wall, and you just go, throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do
You
parents
brush it off.
how do parents differentiate between a tantrum and an actual problem that needs helping, and how do they help their child like in the immediate?
Good question.
Well, the child doesn't purposefully want to hurt themselves. It is actually quite painful. And for children like these toddlers, you actually hear the boom sound onto the floor. And it's, you cannot imagine how painful it is. And you wonder how they can manage the pain. But the first thing for any parent is please check in with the child. I mean, whether it's a tantrum or not, keep your child safe first. Okay. Yeah, I see the red card.
No, we're going to continue
back
this
on
back
air.
on air. Stand by.
It's Glenn Angel, FD, and Shaun. It's The Big Show. Therapy Tuesday with Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room. We're just talking about self-harm and how some kids, they punch themselves and they
Toddlers.
slap themselves and all that. Not because they want to inflict harm upon themselves. It's just
It's the only
a way of
they
expressing
know.
themselves.
Yeah, it's the
right?
only way they know how to communicate that.
So how do parents deal with this, Jerry? How should they deal with it?
Earlier we were talking about it, right? And the most important thing is to keep the children safe. You don't want them to be hitting themselves or just really hurting themselves. And trying to stop that behavior first before anything else. I mean, whether a child is tantruming or whether the child is, self-harming, you want to stop that behavior first.
I think a lot of parents, I don't know, I'm stereotyping. Do a lot of parents get angry first? Because I think anger doesn't really deal with something like this. You would need to be more compassionate and empathetic, right?
Yeah, but it is quite shocking. Can you imagine if you see a child just biting themselves or just banging their heads, or if you are bearing the brunt of it? So you're getting pinched, or you're getting punched, or you're getting kicked.
So what do you
right?
do?
Stop the behavior.
By
You
But how
stop
though?
them.
But how? Like, how do you do it? There's a fine line between like wanting to smack them, because it's hurting you or they're hurting themselves, or calming them down. So how do you actually do that?
So the parents, usually what we do, so as practitioners, right, is just really take a breath, and you calm yourself down. So the last thing you want is to be activated and then activate the child even more. Right? So for a child that is banging their head on the ground, sometimes what we'll do is just slip your hand underneath. Gentle
Okay.
tones. Yeah, gentle tones. Ease your child into a sitting up position from the back, Don't sit in front, because then you will bear the brunt of the head banging onto you or being kicked. So we try to approach from the side or from the back.
Okay.
And it's a very gentle easing into that space. So the last thing you want is to threaten that space.
And how long does it last usually? An
Yeah,
episode
it
like
depends
this.
on the children, right? It really depends on the children. We don't know how long an episode can last, but what we try to do is to de-escalate the episode as
Well-
soon as possible.
Will just hugging them help?
Sometimes they don't like to be touched. So imagine you're very angry or you're very frustrated. You can be quite prickly. So you might not respond well to a full embrace.
Right. Wow, that's tough. Huh?
Isn't it? Yeah.
That's really tough.
It's a sensitive
Yeah.
situation.
But I mean, you can't prescribe medication, right? But let's say if this kid goes to a psychiatrist, will the
Yes.
psychiatrist prescribe maybe some kind of relaxant?
For the younger one, they might look at the situation. They may or may not. Yeah. So the doctors are also very cautious in, prescribing the medication.
Okay.
You know, Jerry, if we go from toddlers to teens, and I've heard this from parents who have teens who do self-harm, the problem is they never know about it until it's too late.
Especially for teenagers,
So,
yeah.
so when we come back, I'm going to ask you a question with that in mind, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Here's Maroon
Okay.
5 Wake Up Call on The Big Show, 1FM 91.3.
So I've heard from parents, Jerry, they eventually found out their kids did self-harm. They never knew it. Especially when it comes to the blades on the arm, right? Because with clothes these days, you're wearing
just
long
cover
sleeves.
it, yeah.
It's
Makeup
easy.
as well.
Makeup hides it.
A lot
It's
of them do it on the
easy.
hip now.
Oh, wow, really?
Wow. So as a parent, what signs am I looking for that may lead me in the right direction? To understand that my child is hurting themselves.
Well, the first thing you realize is your child is a bit quieter.
Okay.
So if they're withdrawn already, they're even more withdrawn. Okay. They're starting to wear a lot of jackets, and you go like, yeah, but it's so hot outside. Why are you wearing a jacket? And they go, I like it. And they try to position their watches or the bracelet, very strategically. They refuse to kind of turn their wrist when they're scooping something or taking something. That could be some of the signs. They lock themselves in their room. That typically tells us that they're probably trying to do something, and not just close the door. So if your instructions are close the door, but they close the door and lock it, that might be something up, with the child.
Is wrist cutting the only form of self-harm, though? I know it's the most common, but is it the only form?
Well, cutting is one of the most accessible ones. So like what Shaun says, right? It's on the hips now. It's on the ankles because you can hide it with socks.
Socks, yeah.
On the tummies because you can just, yeah. On the upper arm,
Right, it's easier with short sleeves and
yeah,
stuff.
short sleeve, you can cut it. Yeah. So different places.
And is there a gender? Sorry,
No,
is
go
there
ahead.
a gender more common? Does it happen more with girls or boys or both?
Both. So
okay.
it is a myth. So later on we look at the myth, but if we pull this one here now. So it's not only the girls, and it's not only teens. You can have your adults cutting themselves also.
I think that's the reason why adults go and get tattoos. Like,
To
I know
hide them.
when I got my first tattoo, I was like really angry about something.
So it's a form of self.
Yeah, because it's painful.
Yeah, it is. And it's
But
permanent.
much better than cutting yourself because you've got like some art on you.
But this self-harm, Jerry, is it a problem with self-esteem? Is it self-punishment? Or is it just, even though they hide it, is it just a scream for attention?
Or attention, yeah.
Or help?
So it's not attention. So earlier we talked about the different, why self-harm behaviors come about. Like it is a coping. So many of them use that because they say, and it's from them, that the pain inside is so much that they need to feel something outside. And typically when you look at it, it looks painful, but they say actually it's not painful because the
balances it.
pain inside is just too much for some of them.
yeah.
Okay.
But reversing this, I just want to reverse this a little bit for people who who don't want to inflict, pain on themselves, right? But they need some kind of release. Would the reverse be bullying? So they go on to bully people instead of cutting themselves. They find pleasure in inflicting harm on others.
So the nature of this is somewhat different from bullying. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you feel the pain inside and you want to feel normal. You want to feel okay about it as opposed to trying to take it out on someone else.
Right.
So they may not be bullies. I can't say for all of them, but they may not be bullies.
Yeah.
Because the idea behind it is not about, trying to inflict pain on other people.
But I had some friends in school, they did that, right? Inflicted pain on other people just to get caught. So they were then caught
Attention.
and punished. So that in a way is inflicting
Self-harm because they're
on
creating,
themselves as well.
creating the situation.
You know what I
I
mean?
would have said that's more a
Stretched.
scream for attention than anything
yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm going to read something on our Facebook page without mentioning a name. And Jerry, I'd like your comment on it.
Just mention the name.
Yeah.
No,
No,
name
it's
is there.
fine.
no.
It's fine.
The name is there. People will see it. I'm not going to mention it. Wrist cutting is not the only way. And my only thought when I do it is ripping my flesh open is the only way to let the pain out.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think, sometimes it gets to a point where it's not just a superficial cuts. So whenever they come for sessions, we do want to look at their wounds and how the nature of the wounds are. Sometimes it's very neat lines, sometimes very haphazard, very random. Sometimes it's really just a slash down. And, some of it is all keloid, because it doesn't heal properly or it's not nicely stitched up.
Stitches. Oh my goodness. So is there a difference between the neat lines, the rough lines, the slashes and all that, and the depth of the cut?
Yeah, that's how we see how chaotic the mind is and what their intent are and how bad it is. So, this person that says he or she wants to rip the flesh out, the pain inside is far too much for her or him to bear. I suppose. Yeah.
My eyes are welling up. I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's very scary.
such a
Yeah,
scary
because they
song.
can't help themselves. You know,
Hug.
they can't help themselves, and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
the
And
torment that they go through.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hold
yeah.
on, we're going back on air.
Traffic.
Stand by, FD.
Good morning, Singapore. It's the big show. Glenn, Angel, FD, and Sean. And today we have Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room with that very nice signage behind her. How many of you want that?
Hey. Don't make David make it.
No, you can go to our office and take.
We're taking orders very soon.
I mean, but in all seriousness, today's topic is a very, very serious
It
topic
is.
that Jerry is touching on. And it's about inflicting self-harm. And we've found out about all sorts of behaviors that are out there and how difficult it must be for some people to live with that. How do we, not as family, as friends, how do we reach out to individuals that we think may be going through something like this?
Thank you for asking. And before I go, no, actually, as I go into that, I want to remind everyone, so it's a trigger alert, right? So just like what Angel feels, if you're feeling too triggered or it's too much for you, you don't have to continue to look at the topic, or you don't have to address it with your loved ones. Get someone else to do that, because it might be too overwhelming for you, especially parents who are very emotionally invested in their children, right? Sometimes when they see the cuts, you know how a parent sees the child is like part of them, and the child hurts themselves. The parent literally feels that cut on them, the pain and the anguish and the helplessness. So the parent actually feels that. Oh, big
my
love.
gosh, I'm like tearing as she's talking. I can't help it. I don't know where this is
Because
coming from.
it's painful, It's like completely
She needs
understand.
tissue. She needs tissue.
FD to the rescue.
FD is crying as well.
Oh
I-
dear, I'm so sorry. So
FD is the
trigger
kind of tissue
alert
packet.
for everyone. It is not an easy topic to talk about, and I
Yeah.
really, really thank Sean for taking on this topic and for the team to take on this topic.
Right. And we all know someone who has inflicted pain
I
upon
think
themselves.
so. Yeah, I think so.
And
Yeah.
that's why this is going to connect with many
Many,
people.
many, many people.
And a lot of the time, right? We're looking in and we're helpless. We don't know what to do. But I just want to ask you, Jerry. So for these people, right? Let's say I'm not talking about how the youngest person you've had to see. How old was that person?
So we're not talking about the head banging and those
No.
with developmental issues, right?
Right.
10, 11 years old.
Oh,
10
wow.
or 11
10,
years
11
old.
years old. So cutting is one, then there is just taking a pen that's available and just jabbing themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there is the hair pulling,
Okay.
the overeating or the starving.
Yep.
Okay, so like the bulimia, the
Wow.
anemia and stuff like that.
It might not really fall under that. It can develop into that,
Right, okay.
but just kind of punish themselves that they will eat until to a point they're so bloated because they need to punish themselves. Yeah.
Is there a reason that they're doing this? Is it because there's too much pressure in school, the home environment is not great, or what is the cause?
Or is it just a mental thing?
Well,
A variety. FD, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. I just to answer that question, Glenn, we have another comment. I did it a lot between the age of 15 and 17, and each time it happened, it was because I felt overwhelmed by emotional pain, and I didn't know how else to cope.
So that would be your
Yeah.
teenage years.
The
yeah.
cutting was cathartic.
But could have been like a bad breakup or something
Yeah,
like
like
that.
your teenage
Yeah.
emotion. You're going through all your hormones and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
and school, and it's hard to deal with everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Let's look at the clinical disorders first. So your impulsive, behaviors like from ADHD, if you're under the influence of drugs, but perhaps you're addicted to some substances, schizophrenia. So some of the clinical disorders, even like depression, anxiety, can cause that. Okay, can cause the cutting or the self-harm behaviors.
Guilt as well, perhaps. Right? It could be guilt as well. Some people, they feel
Yeah.
guilty about certain things.
So correct. It's correct. The pain that they are talking about usually comes from negative emotions. So guilt being one of them. Guilt, shame, embarrassment, feeling overwhelmed, feeling frustrated, feeling abandoned, feeling lonely. Typically where we see these teens trying to figure out all these emotions.
Could it be children also going with whose parents are going through a breakup as well, divorces and stuff like that? Because you get a lot of kids that blame themselves
Yes.
for what happens with their
Yes.
parents, right?
Yes.
So could it also be that?
Can so this, most of the time we see more acting out behaviors in them. So what we lay people look at them and say you've got bad behaviors, but they're probably acting out. You do see the overeating and the starving behavior also in this population. So sometimes it is tougher to catch. But when they bring them to the center, then we can isolate and identify for them.
Right. We are talking to Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room about self-harm today. Up next, Def Leppard, Two Steps Behind on 1FM 91.3.
Jerry, this may seem like a very obvious question. Someone who's listening to us now, teen,
Yeah.
adult, who does self-harm, what can they do?
The what can they do is always a tough one, right? So for those that have a blade in your wallet or around you, please throw it away or pass it to a friend. So you throwing it away or you passing it to a friend is far more impactful because you're making that commitment to someone else, and that you have support. You need to resource yourself as much as possible at this point. Talk to someone that you feel that urge, so they don't cut themselves immediately. They have the urge first, they have that thought. Talk to someone about it, and as you talk, you realize that, hey, you're loved and you're being embraced, not physically, but at least someone is out there. If you're holding something or if you're going to do something, take a pause. 1 minute will do. I know some people say 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Trust me, 1 minute feels like eternity for many people when they are there on the spot. Just walk around, walk away from that space that you're in that is very triggering, and just give yourself some distance from it.
Okay, I
So
think that-
these are
carry on.
sorry.
Sorry, no, carry on.
No.
These are
These are all simple things, but very powerful and very effective.
okay. And can these? I think some people, I feel, might also just do it out of because they are surrounded by people who already do it. Peer pressure, And what do we tell these kids, or these adults that just want to keep up with the Joneses because everyone else is doing it?
That there are other ways of coping, that they don't need to use what everyone else is using. It's like what we tell them: don't take drugs, don't do, you don't need to do that. And most of the time, these things are done in the dark. That means you have to hide it. I always encourage all children and all parents to tell their children to not do anything in the dark. Anything that you do in the dark generally is wrong.
Jerry, another comment on our Facebook page. Dr. Jerry, my son obsessively peels his skin till his fingers bleed.
Oh.
They are
Yes.
red and sore. Relatives have said he is self-inflicting pain but
Yes.
he is
Yes.
a happy child.
Wait, how do you do that though? What?
Just
Yeah.
picking
Trust
at
me.
the skin.
Trust me, I've
It's
done it.
almost like biting your nails, but
Yeah.
you're peeling off.
You're peeling it off. But the listener goes on to say, but he is a happy child. Should I be concerned? Should I bring him to a
Wait,
doctor?
how can he be a happy child if he's
But
peeling?
the child seems to be happy, but he's got this habit of peeling.
It's a habit, then, is it?
Is it,
I
is
don't
it,
know.
is
I'm not
it
a doctor.
possible? Is it possible, Jerry, for this
Yes.
kid to be happy
So
while doing
skin
that?
picking is one of the other self-injurious behaviors or self-harm behaviors. But what it does sound like is probably this boy is anxious, but anxious inside, covers up with a lot of laughter and joy. So, probably bring him to someone so that they can figure out what's going on and to work on the anxieties. So that might appear to be self-harm behavior, but it's indicative of another disorder, perhaps. But skin picking is one, and even like rubbing the skin, like just consistently rubbing or rubbing onto something that is very rough. Okay, drawing like abrasion and blood. That is also another form of self-harm behavior.
And nail biting would be like the anxious behavior that you spoke of, right?
Yes, but sometimes they peel it, and then they peel it to the nail bait,
Yeah.
and there are some of them that I go, but you've got no more nails, and you're drawing blood. Isn't it painful? No, it's not painful.
They don't feel it anymore. Can it become addictive? Can any of this become addictive? It's like a drug, right? Because you feel the pain and you want more of it.
I started nail biting for a while in my. Well, I think I was in primary school or something like that. You know what my mom did? No, she cootied my mouth one time. Boom!
And that was
I'm
it?
like, oh, okay.
Well,
Never again.
but you can't start nail biting. It just happens.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it
You know
just
what I mean?
happens, you know?
It just I was nail biting for a long time.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was anxiousness or anything. I
It
think
wasn't.
it was
It's just
a
like,
habit.
okay,
It was
quite
just a
shook.
habit, yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. So that's
I
why
have
I think
never-
my mom recognized that it wasn't like it wasn't a problem.
She
So
should've- she
just a
should've-
few cooties on
She
the
should have
mouth.
sent you for help like
I
way
don't-
before.
I just want
Thanks,
to,
Angel.
I just want to talk to Glenn's mum because I have never heard any kid bite his nails and it goes tuk 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 tuk.
But it does.
Quite therapeutic, isn't it?
That's what they hear in their head. yes.
in the sounds in
And
their
then I
head.
discovered bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap.
And then you just pop it. Shook also.
And what's the sound of that, Glenn?
Tuck, 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 tuck.
Oh, that's pretty. That's quite accurate. All right. We digress.
Wait, Jerry.
Sorry, yeah.
Now we seem to be talking a lot about children, teens. Do the rules apply? Are the same rules for adults?
Yeah. So, I mean, adults are really children in large bodies, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yes, I work with 3 of them.
Hey,
And we will never grow up.
I recommend boxing for adults. Boxing.
Boxing,
Yes.
Yeah, because you can work the bags, you can just
Yeah.
relieve
Some sort of
relieve your frustration.
self-defense type
And then if you feel like getting punched, you feel like some pain, go into the ring.
Yep.
A sparring session, just give the guy a chance, right, to punch you a few times. Okay, then you feel good.
Glenn knows it all too well. Yes. It does happen like that because many of the guys take to boxing precisely for that reason, because they get to punch something, they get to be punched. Yeah, but everything is very legitimate. Yeah, even the tattoos that you were talking about, yeah, sometimes the pain is too much. So I know like some of the please stay mummies where they've lost their child to suicide, have gotten tattoos also to remember their children.
Yeah, but that's a
Yeah.
different thing, isn't it? That's a more of a mark, not so much for the pain, to sort of ease their emotions, right?
But the pain inside is a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yes.
Yeah. It is a mark also, yeah. Sometimes the adults have access to medication, so they overdose. They don't want to commit suicide. So this is very important to note, So those that have self-injurious behavior does not mean that they are suicidal.
Okay.
Not all
Two
of them,
different
not
things.
all of
Okay.
them. Yeah, not all of them. Yeah, but it can lead to that because if they continue to feel helpless, they continue to feel very negative and depressed, it might lead to suicidal ideations.
So how common is it among all your patients? I know you can't reveal like who they are and stuff like that of these sort of behaviors, like ballpark percentage.
Quite a number of them, actually. Yeah. So we generally would check with each and every one of them whether they have that or not.
You are unbelievable, Jerry. You are unbelievable.
I can't.
having to-
I'll be sitting in the room crying all day.
Yeah.
I won't be
I
able to
don't know.
handle stuff
And,
like
and
that.
Jerry sees what, at least like 4 or 5 people a day, or maybe more sometimes. 8.
8 a
Okay,
day.
stand by. We do
Yeah.
speak first. Stand by.
Hold on. Good morning, Singapore. You're tuned into The Big Show. We are live on The Big Show Facebook page as well as the 1FM 91.3 Facebook page. Our guest for today is Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room.
And we're talking about self-harm behaviors. Jerry, are there any myths about self-harm?
We did talk about that. So it's not only girls. So a lot of people just, stereotype and say only the girls do it. No, the guys do it also. And sometimes when the guys do it, it's more fatal and because they're just stronger. And just like what Glenn says, right? They want to have a good sparring. So when they are upset and angry, please stay out of their ways.
I remember what you said about that in boxing, and what struck me is it wasn't that you want to punch somebody; it's that you're going to get punched back.
Yeah, not you're going to get punched back.
You
You
will.
can get, if you don't retaliate,
Yeah.
then you
You're
can
gonna
take
get
some
hit.
punches, you
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
So
Just wanna feel the pain.
sometimes you want to get punched, but you're able to control the situation because once you've had enough, then you can protect yourself and you can kind of
Yeah.
punch back.
Yeah, Sean, being the youngest of the crew here, what is your take on stuff like this? Have you encountered lots of people that do this to themselves?
I have a few friends that have gone through this and cut themselves and also looked for different and various outlets to release the kind of emotional pain and trauma that they're going through. Yeah, so a lot of it is just being there for them and helping. Like I have to confiscate pen knives around some people that I hang out with as well.
Are they better now?
Yeah, no, every
It's
now
every
and then.
now and then, right? Yeah. it
As
comes
long as
back.
something happens in their life or something goes wrong that day,
Yeah.
then the tendency comes back, that kind of thing. So you just have to constantly be there for them and
Right.
have people around them all the time.
So that brings me, Jerry, to the topic of: is there a way to find a new outlet besides boxing? Some people might not want to go boxing, for them to release all that pent up emotion.
So activities are generally good for them. The what Sean was talking about, having social resources. That means having friends around you who you can download to, and talk to, and know that there is someone out there for you, and you're not being abandoned by the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes watching a movie helps as well. There's certain movies, right? Either a comedy that makes you feel better, or for me, I love watching First Blood Part 1. It's very satisfying.
But I feel like some
Rambo,
people
right?
that
Rambo.
go through stuff like this, they're very withdrawn. So if you tell them, come for a walk with me, let's go for a run, they're going to be like, no, because I just want to hide in my room under my blanket. So how do you pull them out of that darkness
With 2 hands.
without being, hey,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
here
a-
for you,
that's a challenge, yeah.
Let's all be positive and sunshine. Some people don't want that.
Yeah. So sometimes it's just really sitting with them. The presence, your presence actually helps a lot. So a lot of people feel very compelled to keep talking. But actually, you don't need to because they need that peace, they need that quiet. Just sitting beside them, they appreciate that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you hear them say, "I feel very guilty that I'm wasting your time," and that's where you can then reassure them and say, "You know what? I'm here for you."
Yeah.
To just sit there and be quiet, read a book or do something,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yep.
Just
And
present.
care for their wounds. Since you're there, just really tend to their wounds,
Yeah.
Let them know that that this is no good, but we need to look after it. So letting them feel looked after also.
Yeah, I knew someone who used to self hurt, and what actually stopped it was the fact that their career started to fly.
Oh, right.
They found self worth.
Self-worth, yeah.
And that stopped it.
Okay.
So there are various things.
But some people, they're so they're so much in pain that they're just not interested in anything else,
That's
even
like
their
what I was
careers.
saying. Yeah.
So that guy is lucky.
Lucky.
That
Yeah.
person is
Very
lucky.
lucky. Very lucky.
I would keep these people company by sitting next to them with my Bluetooth karaoke microphone.
Yes, that would
And,
probably make them go worse. I'm
and
sorry.
just
That would not help.
Sing songs.
No, that would. Oh my goodness,
No.
kill me now.
It'll be awesome.
No, that might work actually.
They might start
Yeah.
laughing.
It
Yeah,
might.
see?
It
Are
brings
you
out joy
looking
to
for
their life.
laughing? It's a comedy act.
Whatever feelings come to mind when I
I
start
think
singing.
importantly is not to give them ultimatums. You better stop or else. Now
Right.
that doesn't work at all.
Or like, why are you doing this? And
I
stuff
know,
like that. Okay.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, asking them the reason that's not going to help either.
Yeah. We've got another message from Joel Go. Do you guys remember the producer, artist, DJ Avicii?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Passed away
Yeah.
at 28
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah. Not long
He
ago.
killed himself, right?
Yes. His father has started up the Tim Bergling Foundation, which is a foundation that helps people with self-harm problems.
Was that his real name?
Must be.
Tim Bergling.
Yeah, Avicii. Yeah.
And there's now a foundation that helps, the Tim Bergling Foundation actually helps people with not only self-harm problems, but suicide prevention
Wow,
as well.
thank you for that, Joel.
His dad started it up.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah, it is timberglingfoundation.org.
That's right.
All right. We are
So
talking
there's
to.
one.
Yeah, it's okay. It's
Sorry.
okay. Go ahead, Jerry. Just.
Oh, that's just to write on. There's also one more that the teens can access, which is the Community Health Assessment Team chat, and it's at Escape here. And they can. I think you can just walk in or give a call.
Oh,
Wow,
that's
that's
awesome.
helpful. That's helpful. What's it called again?
Chat, CHAT. So that's the Community Health Assessment Team.
And this is at Escape, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
So there must be counselors there as well.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, there are
nice.
counselors there. It's free of charge. Just walk in, give a call. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So if you're watching this and you've been feeling negative for quite some time now, that's an option.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to go down there and talk to a counselor.
Yeah, and
All
you
right.
can reach them on the website chat.mentalhealth.sg.
Right. Okay, up next, Dr. Alban. Here's It's My Life on 1FM 91.3. Good times, greatest hits.
Yeah, we're back.
Very interesting comments coming through. This is very clinical, and I don't know whether it's true or not. Self-harming behavior releases a pain relief hormone, oxytocin. It not only relieves physical pain, but also emotional pain. Maybe
Yes.
that's why they're doing it, because they get that flood of oxytocin
Yep.
that makes them feel better.
Yep. So it's a self-soothing. It is, it's like you have an itch and you scratch the itch to relieve the itch.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's actually pain on top of pain.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
I think that's why mixed martial arts is so
Addictive.
popular and addictive these days. The reason why I suggested boxing and not Brazilian jiu-jitsu or wrestling is because you're still very much in control when it comes to boxing.
Yes.
'Cause
Right?
yeah.
But when it comes to full-on sparring, like wrestling or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, if you're in that frame of mind where you want to hurt someone, you're gonna hurt someone. And that's not fair to someone who just wants to train and you know what I mean. So someone who's enraged, in a situation like that could hurt
Somebody
someone.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Also, for people who are feeling like a bit lonely and cut off from the world, sometimes community sports or team sports might help as well. So things like spinning, or if you play like badminton or stuff like that, you get a whole community involved as well. So you feel like, okay, you're not alone working out. You get your endorphins up, and you have friends around you as well.
That's true.
So that might
Safe,
help.
safe environment.
Yeah.
And if you feel like breaking stuff, there's also a place called the Fragment
Fragment
Room.
Room.
You
Yeah.
know, where you can literally go
Go and
and
smash.
break stuff.
Oh my goodness.
So-
Is that where they throw axes as well? No,
No,
right?
that's
No,
different.
no,
This
no.
one is
Okay.
on McPherson Road, and you can literally like go break living rooms and TVs and everything
Yeah.
else because you need to let those emotions
Let the emotions out.
Yeah.
out.
But that's like from the outside in. I feel like these
needs to be
people
worked
need
from the
it
inside.
needs to be worked from the inside. It needs to be
It's patience and understanding.
And
Yeah.
time.
Therapy lah.
It's
There's
time.
therapy, right?
Yeah.
It's therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, but let it out first. Even like screaming into the mic, you know, at the karaoke. I don't know whether the karaoke studios
cannot.
are open
Not
or
yet.
not.
yeah.
Never mind, scream into a pillow and let it all out.
Oh,
you
the
know,
Tears
that-
of Fear song. Shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I can
There
do
you
with
go.
that. Come on. I'm talking to you. Come on.
Okay, enough.
Jerry, as we bring this to a close, if you had to say one thing to the people who do self-harm, what would you say?
I would read. So this is from a book called Bloom for Yourself Too, and this page is Trust the Stars. So for the people that are self-harming, okay, it's hard to understand why some things are put on your path when there's no apparent reason, or why some things are taken as swiftly as brushing away or falling tears. But if you trust that there is a reason as much as you trust in your very next breath, then you get to take control. The stars are always aligning for you. They don't need your help. They just need you to believe in them.
Wow, I like that.
Oh, that's very
That's
nice.
beautiful. What a note to end on. What's that book again?
Bloom for yourself too.
Bloom
so I think
for
it's
yourself.
Bloom for
Okay.
yourself and bloom for yourself too.
That's a nice one. Okay.
Good. Must look for that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jerry, for joining us once again.
Happy to be here. Thank you for taking on such a tough topic, and I hope your day gets better from here, Angel.
Oh no, my day is fine. I just get very emotional. I can see like a golden retriever in a TV ad, and I will cry. So, this is me. This is how I was built.
Angels like me, very sensitive.
I'm fine, but thank you.
Okay. All right.
I'll see all of you next week then. Happy
Yeah.
Chinese New Year.
恭
Thanks,
喜发
Violet.
财，万事如意，身体健康。
Next week.
Next week.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Hora.
Oh dear. Bye.
Bye.
Stay safe, Jerry. Bye.
Bye.